Welcome back to the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro presented by Adobe. Chris Cote here with Pete Mel, right back into it. Starting off with M.Dunphy, one of these exciting replacement surfers. And we're very curious to see if they could step it up to CT competitors who have had history here at Surf Ranch. Dunphy, so far so good. A couple good turns out the back. Nice tube ride here. Now we're going to see what M.Dunphy can do to separate himself from the pack. A different look for the judges. Get them fired up. Dunphy, of course, from Virginia Beach in Virginia.
He's not getting a wave this long in Virginia Beach, is he?
No. What do you think the average wave time is in California? About 5 to 10 seconds?
I think that's long.
That's a long wave.
Yeah.
These are 45-second waves right there. Nice finishing snap for M.Dunphy.
You know, Dunphy, you know, this is a limited resource, right? This wave, each wave. I think he's had 8 lefts and 8 rights as practice time to get himself ready and prepared. Picking out a board, making sure you got that wax, recipe done right. You know, all of those things you got to kind of, compute in order to be able to perform on the 4 waves you're given during the event. So it's a limited resource. You're not going to be able to put 3 or 4 hours or work on a certain board. You know, it's literally very quick.
Yeah, not only do these surfers know exactly when their runs are, when their heat is, but also when that particular wave is coming to them. It's a lot to think about before you do this.
Well, it's a different thing. You know, the spontaneous part of it is, you know, now you're able to kind of create the breathing and all of that stuff to, to keep and mitigate the tired feeling you get at the end of this ride. You know, you got to manage all of that. Beautiful tube there, and the flow in between turns is so critical. You can see some surfers, they'll have that nice single bottom turn. Dunphy's had to kind of get the double pump going in some of these sections because you're always feeling like you're chasing it down.
And I think what we're looking for is a memorable moment on that wave. We've already had seen a couple that came in the form of really just quick combinations. Snap, turn, barrel. So that last wave for Dunphy, real, solid fundamentals all the way down the line. But we're looking for a big, powerful, memorable moment.
Clean that up slightly, that'll help a lot.
Benchmarks being set early by Kanoe Igarashi, a 7.83 and a 7.50. Griffin Colapinto with a 7.10. So some big chunks of points coming through. Dunphy now on his back end. This guy's a very sharp surfer, really precise. And right now he's got to tame the excitement, curb your enthusiasm just a little bit.
It's hard not to, though. I mean, you just want to go so hard and showcase that exciting moment.
Wow. Okay, go do that. What happened?
Too deep, getting it, there's that fine line that we touched on, and you want to be surfing from behind the lip section, but you can get too far behind, and it happens in a flash before you realize, what? I'm too deep? And you didn't really even make that big of a mistake. He's kind of peppered the lip here, and you talked about that little bobble there, probably slightly made him off time, and he's trying to make up for it here. And then you feel like, okay, well, I missed some turns chasing it down. I got to push hard here. And then you start to push that little floater too deep, and then that one's especially too late to get up and over. And that just, you progressively slide back. And then once you're behind it, you're never getting back.
Possibly too much excitement?
I would say. I mean, how could it not be? I mean, this is a big moment. Dunphy, in a championship tour event. He's going to get another run here, though.
1.60. So 1.6.
There we go. A little less volume. Look how thin that board is.
Wow,
I mean, and why not, right? You're taking the paddle part out of it. It's not like you're paddling back out to the lineup or anything. So you can, he's always been the guy who likes to push the limits of volume on a surfboard. The more small of a surfboard, the more responsive. And when you're more responsive, you do things that other people can't do.
He's probably riding one of the smallest boards volume-wise of this entire field, right?
I would say so, yeah. And he's been working on it, and he's found a formula.
So here's where we all get to see, as a united front of surf fans, we all get to see K.Slater's return. He's been battling through another injury. It's an existing injury that is getting better, kind of bouncing back and forth. So here we go. This is your K.Slater scouting report, back in action after months off.
Doesn't look like it, does it?
No, there you go. Thank
So
you.
smooth.
Thank you, K.Slater. Back at it.
A redirection where he's absolutely carving it back into the ball and then super deep. And know what?
What just happened?
Speechless.
That was...
It didn't expect that to happen, did we?
I almost was on the verge of falling off my seat from the one big turn that he did. And for one of the inventors of this wave,
I think that's probably part of it too, is the comfort level that he carries here too. You can know, and then knowing what those points of difference are, and being deep in the barrel is one of them. You know, the redirect here he does. Watch, just all the way whipping it back into the pit. So hard to do on that very first section. And then here he wants to get ultra deep. And that line, he crossed it and just vanished and vaporized.
Unlike the 80s film Wall Street here at Surf Ranch, greed is not always necessarily good. A little greedy in that tube ride, trying to hang on too long. But I will say, the turn of the event so far, done by K.Slater.
And it was on that outside section again. You know, he has the ability to see those little subtle differences, and you know, watching everyone else's performances, he's like, oh, okay, I could do something here. I can do something here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And speaking of, always a pleasure to watch this guy compete. M.Dunphy, a veteran in the QS game. Can he make the jump for the CT? Well, we're about to find out in the next few days. He is on standby right now with Mitchell Salazar.
He wants to have the best turns. He wants to do the biggest airs. You know, and still, he does. And we expect it from him. I can't wait for this wave.
Starts off with a double shaka. If anybody can recover from a mistake, it's K.Slater. Here comes his baby.
Well, you see too, because he's actually starting down a little bit further. Again, some of the strategies you'll see, you can catch the wave a lot earlier, but it changes the pattern of the wave.
So the wind up of a 3-pump combo. First big snap there. Now gets involved with this speeding lip. Here he gets on the open face. And you know he's thinking about the upcoming barrel. Got too deep on his first wave. This is just the mechanics of surfing right here. Everything done in its proper place. A lot of setting up, though, on this wave for K.Slater as he now gets deep in the tube. Fully disappeared. So just a solid ride from beginning to end. Nothing too wild and flashy. It'll be a good number.
And this is him competing, right? He's not pushing it. He knows he's got another chance. He's competing in a way that he knows he's got to get himself into that top 24 so he can get that bonus run. Make sure that happens. As you can see, even the GOAT gets gassed.
Well,
it's hard.
He hasn't competed this year. Really, you know, from the Shiseido ski cam.
What a view, right? You're riding along this entire wave. Great flow, though. I will say that he is the flow master at the ranch.
I was just going to say that. There is really something beautiful and something poetic about K.Slater not going against the wave, just surfing with the flow of the wave right there.
He looks the most relaxed, you know, like the best surfers out here they're never really totally chasing it down, which feels like when you're riding the wave, that's what you're doing, but he never looks like he is.
Yeah, I don't think you want to see these surfers look like they're trying too hard, you know, because that's going to impede the flow element.
Make it look easy, right?
You got to make it look easy.
They're just cruising, throwing shakas in the middle of your wave.
Deivid Silva now will be coming up next. This is one wave on the schedule. Do you think this is a wave that gives advantages to different heights, different body types in the water? Is that...
I think every wave will kind of do that slightly, but yeah, I mean, one thing that I think that David's going to bring to the table that is that he is rapid fire. I mean, he could probably do more turns than anyone else on this wave from start to finish because of the quickness in his transitions and all of that. So let's see how he paces this wave, because it is in your mind, you're like, I'm going to just hit everything, you know, but being able to kind of pace yourself and get that rhythm, because again, always trying to find a way to what you can do to be different from other surfers in the draw.
So when you hear CT3, what does that mean? Is that the type of wave? Is that the I guess, the manufactured wave. What is a CT3?
It is a specific wave. So the foil moves down at a certain speed. There's a certain way that the camber of the foil can move in order to create this wave and change the dynamics of this wave. So CT3 is the most high-performance wave that you can have out here. CT1 is just a straight draining barrel the whole way. But, well, who wants to see that? We want to see some rail work. We want to see some tail releases. We want to see some airs and barrels.
So you have hot zones on the wave. You kind of get this first area. It seems like the setup area. Get your first couple of turns in. Then it starts to grind down the line. Then you got a tube, another hot zone, another tube, potential for an air section at the end. So Deivid here opts for the barrel real early on this wave. Nice and tight. And he has got such a whip on his backhand. I think the judges really like to see nose, tail, quick succession of, the pivot.
Well, he's got the fan, right? And then there's the one that goes in the lip. There's the tail release. There's the carve. And here's the inside barrel.
I'm seeing a bit of a trend here. There's two different approaches, chasing and attacking. What do you think is the approach that's paying off the best so far? The chase or the attack?
I think that, well, I think there's, the chase sounds a little bit too much, right? I feel like you're missing out if you're chasing it.
If you're
right?
trying to kind of get up into the lip.
I guess the other one, but I mean, there's ways to, again, I think more than anything is just to be able to create that point of difference, and finding that point of difference from anybody else that you can do that no one else can. Great rhythm on the first outside section, uses that little pivot stall to stop himself. So the transition to the barrel was nice. I personally like it a little bit later because it's more difficult and it's more risky, right? And I think that's where you'll see some surfers will anticipate it. You see them anticipating that barrel section. Whereas if, the best of the best, when you start to see those excellent rides come up, it's when you're going to see it, you're seamless, right? It's going straight from the bottom. You're not waiting for anything on this wave.
Yeah, so far, these three big scores, the 7.5, the 7.8, the 6.6 have had one big wow moment, a big combination. Do you see the look in his eyes when Mitchell said Bada? He go, oh yeah, back into Jersey. Oh, he's ready. And happy birthday, Judy. Kelly's mom there celebrating. Hopefully she'll be celebrating Kelly's next couple of waves. He needs to catch up just a little bit, but it's K.Slater, so we never, ever count him out. Meanwhile, Deivid Silva now racing down the line.
You know what I love about today's action is that, we've got no wind, so the left and the right are pretty similar as far as conditions go. So I think that's optimal. Nice hook. That's cool. Dramatic.
That's the drama we want to see.
But now he's behind it.
It's this subtle speed change. We've seen. So what has been the key difference here between the excellent scores and those mid-range fives has really come across in that 1 second of dramatic surfing. Snap, react, barrel. We saw a glimpse of that here with that open face carving snap from Deivid, but he needed to follow up.
See that nice flowing right of that midsection to carry a bunch of speed into this moment in the wave where it gets a little taller. That little hiccup, but it actually puts him right in the spot for that.
Ooh, that was
but
cool.
You're thinking, no problem, he's got this. And then sure enough, it just races off ever so quickly, mostly because of that little stab there where he didn't have that projection off the top. It actually stalled him out, put him too deep. So a mistake there, and it's cost him.
I like the thought process. I like an open face turn right now because we've only seen a few of them. A lot of everybody's really staying in the power pocket, which you need to do to maximize scoring potential. But you do have the opportunity to get on the open face, show a flash of something different. I don't think quantity is going to win this. How many turns you do from beginning to end, it's going to come down to quality, which we saw from Kanoe Igarashi. Not as many turns as everybody else, but more impactful. Yeah, M.McGillivray has done every contest that he can get himself into. Had a great result down at the ISA World Surfing Games just a few weeks ago. And right now, looking to keep the momentum. And you do have a break like that between a big, a long leg in Australia. For McGillivray, no breaks, no rest for the wicked. And this guy has really, he's been improving as he's gone on through these events. You see that the more experience he gets, the more confidence he's built, And he's kind of in the class now of unfazed, not afraid of any other competitor. That's the exact combination we want to see come out of this barrel. He does. McGillivray now.
That was super sick because he got drained, did a turn, and got drained again. We don't usually see that. It's usually the barrel and then some rail work. A nice carve there.
So he's doing quality and quantity.
Laid into it.
Packing in turns. Another brilliantly red combo. Can he ride out of this?
Hang on, hang on.
Oh, that was a 9. That was going to be a 9. If he would have made that last move, upside down, projecting out of the lip, super difficult. But the work he did from beginning to end was stellar.
He has been fun to watch this season, and he keeps bringing us stellar moments, right? I mean, this was my first wave of watching him. I didn't get to see any of his warm-up waves, and he did the duty out there on the outside section. Beautiful snaps, gets really drained right here, and then fits in a move late. Oh, goodness, I got a barrel again. Straight back into it. So there is a point of difference. That is double barrel on the barrel section. He's even going to get the end section too. Just the one falter, not pulling off the air.
Welcome back to the ultimate playground, Surf Ranch. This is the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro presented by Adobe, and we're back in the lineup with Matthew McGillivray. His first wave comes through a 6.27. Now he's going to go to his powerful backhand. Brilliant read on his opening right. Just one big mistake at the end kept that score from being up in the perfect range. But here we go. Now speeding down the line, building things up, recovering that first turn. I like the pace. I like the patience, but just kind of, is he in the wrong place of the wave, Pete?
Well, I would say that there's just those little hiccups. I mean, every hitch, every little thing can be quantified here on this wave because it's so perfect.
You see, he's kind of been fighting against this wave from the very beginning.
It's so apparent, right?
You see it right when they stand up.
It's so apparent that you're like, okay, this, like, you know, you want him to get back, but it's always so difficult to get back into the flow once the flow is disrupted.
Well, he almost had a home run on his first at bat. You know, you saw that wave projecting all the way down the line. You knew that if he would have nailed that finishing move, the story would be different. The good news for McGillivray is he will have 2 more opportunities, of course, but also he did get a good chunk of points off the beginning portion of that last wave. Do you think that fall is still kind of stuck in his craw?
It could be, you know, and that's getting the erase board out, right, and erasing it quickly as possible. Then that's an art. You know, how do you do it? You got to think positive thoughts about, oh, okay, now I'm going to move on to the next best thing, which is ripping the heck out of this left. You know, the little hiccup in the very beginning kind of gave him a little bit. And I think biggest part of this is that, you know, they want to admit it, but it's tiring. It really is tiring, you know, and you're already back on this wave. And it's like, it makes the mistakes happen easier when you're just a little bit winded.
Well, the left is perfect, and we know that because the first surfer to ever ride this left, when he says a wave is good, we all believe him. Well, speaking of whole ride, we've got another from one incredible goofy footer to another, R.Callinan. This guy has had one of his best years ever on the championship tour. Jerry Lopez, along with the rest of us, waits in anticipation to see what Callinan can do on his backhand. One of the best in the business. This is not hyperbole. This is fact. Look what he's already done on this wave. 3 huge turns. Fits himself nicely into the barrel. He's so loose. I feel like being limber, being loose, and, you know, not being stiff down the line is going to really help these surfers on such a tight pocket.
See here, he's using the rail. Those first sections, he was going straight up into it, so he's kind of showing us that variety. Here's that end section. See what he can do here. He's got some moves up in the air, too.
Comes out of the tube. Here's that last section. Boom. So just opts for the power card. So right there, just beginning to end. What'd you think of the flow from R.Callinan, Jerry?
Smooth as silk. All right, Chris, Pete, you guys take care. Good to talk to you.
Right on, Jerry.
I don't get starstruck often, but that was a starstruck moment. I think we all are in the same boat there. Jerry Lopez. With his insight, now we're back at it with R.Callinan, back to business in the basin. As Callinan, a bad start. Do you think he's looking air, or do you think he's looking
telegraph? That's what I see.
You can see the coil up.
He wants to punt. And I think we'll see it from him because he's got him in his repertoire. But he's also got this stuff too, the quick, precise, flowy maneuvers.
Yeah, there you see building speed. And
deep.
No surfer can resist the urge to get barreled. Remember in the first couple of events we were seeing here, by the end of the day, we were almost yelling at surfers from the perch, don't get barreled, an air. And they pretty much, it's a prerequisite, I feel like, on these opening rounds. You have to show the judges that you can ride the tube, and, it's part of getting the score. But once you drop that 7, drop that high 6, it's time to hunt around. Yeah,
and nice gouge out there. He had to chase it here slightly. And again, pushing it on that first maneuver put him in a position where he had to kind of chase it. And this is where I thought he was telegraphing the big tail whip. That's what he has in the lip there, but instead goes to carves. So you do kind of change up your repertoire again just a little bit because of the subtle differences in the wave. Then this tomahawk, just throwing it into the lip, and then watch how deep he gets in this last barrel section. Once we get to it, late entry into it, and then he's super deep, right? He disappeared from view from a straight on angle. That's what the judges want to see.
And I think as a surfer watching this, one thing you can really do is study tube riding. And I will be the first to admit that I've learned a lot by watching surfers over and over here at the Surf Ranch, watching their technique, frontside and backside. If you live in California, Florida, wherever, you're probably not going to be surfing tubes that are going to allow you to stand straight up.
We'll see what he can do here, Connor.
He just seems more relaxed this year. He seems like he's, kind of gotten to his peak of competitive maturity, if you will. We saw that run developing. Halfway through that event, you're going, oh, yes,
I think that's,
Connor's going to make the final.
Yeah, and that speed comes from his coach.
Yeah.
I think that, and the people that he's sparring with, and that's been super helpful for him.
And he's had some big results here at Surf Ranch in the past.
Because of that.
Yeah, and it's surfing like that. It is the ability to extend, I feel like, through the dirt.
Oh, my goodness.
That was one of the deepest tubes we've seen of the day, and he's still in the tube.
100% that was. He was on that foam ball for a long time, just skirting the edge.
So the difference of turns we're seeing here in previous waves, the surfers are kind of more like quick snapping up into the lip. Connor seems to be using more of the face.
Yeah, I mean,
turns.
He's turning the board in a full circle rather than just straight up and straight down. He's getting the arc in there, and he's laying that rail in, which is what his strengths are, and he's playing to his strengths.
That was a big start for Connor Coffin.
That was huge, and the barrel was a big part of it, because he was skirting the edge, very risky. We saw K.Slater do it, and you think, oh, Kelly's going to make it, but just a tinge too deep. Whereas that, right in the foam ball, and he stayed with it and came out of it. That is good. Look, he even knows it. He's like, ooh, that was sketchy.
I'm kind of stressed right now. I'm pretty sure I put Connor on my fantasy team, but unlike previous events, you cannot change your team in this first round. So now I'm feeling the stress. I can't check yet.
Beautiful arcs. Those 2 arcs on the outside, but then the barrel, right? He's just there stalling in this port right there. He's way too deep. He should have been gone. They should have vaporized him, but no, he stayed with it. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And that's steering, putting his hands in front of him, eyeing the hole, that little teeny hole. Look how far away it looks right there for him. He's on the foam ball and somehow keeps the edge going. Beautiful stuff.
Low-key little Slater jab there. That's how deep you can get, Kelly. Let me show you how it's done.
And then
Kelly's watching that. He's thinking.
See, they're getting the full arc, right? Going all the way around and driving the rail through those maneuvers. Difficult to do and keep the pace and not look like he's rushed. He never looked like he was rushed on that wave.
Just the perfect cylindrical barrel down the line. And that right there was a statement wave from Connor Coffin, and I know the shockwaves are being felt through the water. You tell us, Stratowasilewski, what's the feeling after that first wave from Connor?
30 seconds. There's going to be another one.
Groundswell technology.
All right, so you're home. You're sitting on your couch, or you're sitting wherever you're watching this. Just imagine what it would feel like to hear the chain start to go. You've got the whole world watching. You've got very few opportunities. I'm not trying to stress out the viewers, but I'm just trying to put you in the mindset of what these surfers are going through. Even though they've competed here now 4 or 5 times, it never gets easier.
No, it doesn't. You know, and because you're trying to push it. You know, you're trying to push the performance and ride that edge.
717 for Connor's first wave. So
nice. Right there, just
expertly done. That was a great
score.
Statement score for C.Coffin. And right now you're looking at the cut lines, 8:26, trying to fill the finals on the day. And on Sunday, it's going to be man-on-man, woman-on-woman format for the finals. Cannot wait for that. Trying to fill in our final top 5. Rip Curl Finals coming up. Will C.Coffin be in that top 5? Well, he sure is surfing like it. You know he wants it. You can tell with every turn that he's done, his intent is looking malicious on this left. Perfectly placed. They're a kind of pendulum style snap.
Never rushed, right? It looks like he's just cruising. Board's in there, stuck to his feet. Nice hook.
Well, one thing you'll hear Connor and his brother Parker talking about often is how important it is to have good style. They've been working on style. You know, they grew up right in the zone of Tom Curran.
Looking at good competing right here, those were 2 solid waves. Start to finish for Connor. He's going to put 2 nice numbers. Going to make it a heck of a lot less stress going into run 2. Now, cut loose, kiddo. I mean, the right with that deep barrel, that's going to be good. They got the 717. That's another solid left. So now he can push it. It's awesome.
Yeah, with 2 good scores, now he's going straight up Van Halen Unchained. Time to get Wild Connor.
And again, great variety, different approaches he goes into it. Some are straight up, some are bow in the face, some are carved, some are snaps. And again, never looking like it's choreographed. It's looking very spontaneous.
That's a great point. There is a fine line between planned and freestyle. You want to be somewhere kind of in the middle. Don't make us notice that you've planned your run. You got to make it look really, really wild from beginning to end if you want a big score. Hopefully we'll see what happens on that last wave from Connor. We'll be right back with more action.
Time for run number 2 for M.Dunphy from Virginia Beach, USA. Wild card, surfing this place for the first time in the practice runs and ready to compete. Moving quickly with his top turns to start. Blowing the tail, now things will start getting hollow. He anticipates it well. Dunphy traveling for just a moment, but the lip line takes him down incredibly early. And that thing will drain down the line without him. Dunphy was hoping for a huge improvement on that opportunity, and he's going to have to shake that one off quickly. Such an interesting situation, Rosie, coming to a wave like this where you've never had access before and trying to warm up quickly. You understand the wave, trying to learn it on the fly. It seemed like that section was not as hollow as he thought it was going to be. Sometimes there's little subtleties of differences on these perfect waves.
Definitely, and you can definitely see that little bit of a fluff from the wind now starting to go up the face over here. And Michael, like you said, he's starting to get that groove on this wave. Hasn't had as much experience as the other surfers. Coming in as a wild card, sits in that wave. He knows he has to get deep, gets swallowed by that foam ball. And that's where this all counts, is when you sit on that foam ball. If you're going to go for the barrel, you've got to get extremely deep. So he got a little bit hungry, caught up, and he goes down.
He's got so much passion and so much heart. Before the year shut down last season, he had a huge result in Sydney. He was just roaring after every single heat win. Now let's catch up with C.Coffin with Mitchell Salazar. Connor doing a great job this season. One of his best starts of his career on tour. Remember the huge final he had in Narrabeen. Well, he wasn't done there. Incredible performance at Strickland Bay at Rottnest. As we look at the heat in the moment, C.Coffin 13-point combined total ahead of R.Callinan.
Oh, this thing? Timponi nose. Oh, yeah.
Kelly preparing for his second run. The 11-time world champ has done quite well at this event. Third place finish back in 2018. Got an 8.6 on the right, got an 8.5 on the right as his high score the following year, 2019, for a 6th place overall finish. Here comes Dunphy. Everyone remembers West Lane. Came from Virginia Beach, dominated the championship tour. Dunphy with some speed and trying to make it count on this left. Tight backhand wrap. Jamming it down the line again. Knows he went down early on the right, so he's got to put everything into this left-hander. Nice power and control. He'll float that climbing section. It's about to get pretty hollow. Dunphy finds it, sets up that stance forward, but ended up poking the nose in the entrance of the tube.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. He was linking together quite a nice ride. He only needs a sub-5 to kind of get in that advancing position. Yeah, just such a bummer to poke right there. He was almost at the end of the wave. He was going to stuff himself inside that left barrel.
Saw him kind of get started in a hurry.
Yeah, his pacing, you can tell that he was just trying to figure out when to settle into this wave. He kind of got a couple turns on his backhand that he started linked together quite nicely, but you could tell that he was just a beat forward or a beat back on this wave. You've never really seen comfortable as he started to attack right there. Lines up that tube. You can tell that he knows it's coming. Watch his eye line. It's always down the line, looking for this wave to get hollow. Those floating maneuvers. There always seems to be a tiny bit of balance. You see the nose poke there. That was unfortunate for him. Maybe steps a little bit too far forward without shifting that weight a little bit back to reposition in that barrel.
Such a talented surfer, Michael Dunphy. Always puts in 100% no matter where he is competing, and this one learning quickly on the fly in the last couple of practice sessions. Got the call up for his seating on the QS, sitting number 2 behind Nat Young. Made finals day in Manly, and then the entire year got shut down. And now the GOAT prepares. Also from the East Coast, but a lot further down the coast in Florida. Probably over an 8-hour drive to get down to Florida. Strider Wasilewski with some insight for K.Slater.
Yeah, guys, just a little, we're talking surfboards. I mean, he's pushed it harder than anybody with boards. So that board he's riding right now, he's been riding for a little over a month straight. He's got a 4-fin setup, which he likes the speed of, not so much the stability, and the rail line. So it's a 5.6, but the rail line holds really long, kind of straight. So it gives him the allowance of feeling like he's on a bigger board, but to have a shorter board to fit into this wave. All the little things matter here.
All the R&D pays off. Last year, K.Slater found himself stuck in Indonesia along with the Waz, which made everybody incredibly jealous, scoring perfect waves.
Yep.
But I guess working on all these equipment, R&D, getting completely barreled. I don't know if they're thinking about heats back then. Just trading waves. What do you expect from Kelly on this one, Ro?
Big things, huge things. I mean, he has sat out the whole Australian leg as we see him kind of take his time.
Nice snap there. There's the power from the GOAT. All flow, transitions, perfect. Now locking in. I love that stance, moving a bit forward. Super deep on that section. Kelly once more. Locking into that hollow section and just playing with it. With both hands on the face of the wave. Nice aggressive wrap back into the pocket. There's the snap. Kelly drills the lip line. Great form, layback, power hack from Kelly. Chips it off the lip. There's a deep cave from Slater. Can he make it? He's got some room maybe for one more. Throws the alley-oop. Kelly gets it. Bonus section to snap. Legs are burning. And that is going to be a massive number for the GOAT.
I am not disappointed. I said I expect massive things, and K.Slater delivered. Great wave there from Kelly. Yeah, just loving everything that he was doing on that wave. I mean, he said that he was going to work on his body in this off season. Looks fit to me, not really hindered by any injuries here. See that board that Strider was talking about, looks like it's almost got a bit of a step deck too. So they've placed the foam towards the middle and then rolled those rails so that he can really dig that rail line in. That board also playing so beautifully on the wave when he hits that barrel section. Wow, just beautiful on top of that foam ball. You probably heard Pete Mel call him out that C.Coffin got a bit deeper than him and he went tube hunting.
I just love how there's a lot of opportunity where you can kind of sneak breaks in on this wave. You know, you can kind of slow down. He does not take any breaks, and including a finish. We've seen him attempt that alley-oop in competition quite a bit, but this time he gets it.
Yeah, and you spoke about that R&D that he gets to do at this place, and you can just tell that he's refined everything down to the last detail. I mean, even comboing up that maneuver and hitting into that barrel like that, judges are going to take everything into consideration. I mean, that end maneuver there, that 3-pack combo for me was something that we haven't really seen executed so well today.
You see how demanding this wave can be. If you push as hard as these guys, every post-lead interview, they're gassed. We don't get to see that on tour very often. There's so much time to catch their breath, but this demands every bit of energy that they've got. And Kelly gave it to us on that last right-hander. 7.43 for Kelly. Remember, had a 1.73 on his ride earlier and run number 1. 7.43. That already brings him right in second behind Kanoa Igarashi. Now with room to improve on the left. He's looking to better a 5.83. His keepers in the last 2 CT events here have always been on his front side in the 8+ range. I know he's had some creative finishing combinations on the left in free surfs. We'll see what he has for us. Nice flow and rhythm for Kelly to start. Down carve, just going rail to rail. Blasting the fins free again, and now punching it off that pocket section. A lot of spray off that lip. Judges eat that up. Out in front, so there's the down carve, setting up the lip to head. What a great transition of maneuvers. Tight snap over the roof. Now it's bottoming out. Late pulling into the pit. Nice and deep. Stalling for every bit of that vision. He'll just throw the 3 to finish. Back-to-back keepers for Kelly. From the right to the left on run number 2.
Super fun to watch and not lacking in any theatrics. I mean, the way that he pulled under the hood on that left barrel kept us guessing what he was going to do. Loved the timing throughout. Yeah, just a great package wave from Kelly on his backhand.
You always wonder if there's going to be rust from any competitor when they've been sidelined for a while with injuries, and Kelly is looking so fresh this morning. And how was that style to start, Ro?
I love it. The body language in the beginning parts of that wave, especially the takeoff, kind of taking his time, getting to his feet, riding that high line, knowing when this wave is going to get that tempo up. So conserving that energy for the steeper part of the wave.
Impressed how he then just switched gears, threw down the down card before it got hollow to finish up with a beautiful pit.
Yeah, well, you know, Strider mentioned the combo, and that's kind of what Kelly's looking for here. He's looking for that point of difference, and that's it right there. The way that he pulled under that hood, got super deep on the left, because everyone's hunting down this left barrel, especially on their backhand. They know it's coming, so they want to kind of set up with ease and kind of dip their butt in. But here, Kelly goes under that lip, which is really cool to watch.
Impressive performance from Kelly. 11-time world champ. We're talking about Medina's start this year, making 4 of the first 5 finals of the season.
Yeah, you just surf harder, you know.
Kelly did that in 2008 when he had 6 wins that season.
Yeah, for sure.
4 wins in the first 5 contests. Waiting for the review of the tape there. Kelly already had moved to second behind Kanoa from the performance on the right. Let's see how high he goes on the left. As we are moving through the morning pretty quickly. Already finished the first heat. Deivid Silva now preparing for his second run. He has some room to improve. Remember, coming back to the tour now this season, Rosie, so he had a couple of years off, but he's definitely looking more fit, more focused than ever.
Definitely. We're seeing that from a lot of the Brazilians. I mean, Miguel Pupo, similar kind of situation, and arguably the Brazilians are having the most fun on tour and really savoring their time as, you know, their fellow countrymen just having a good time at every stop on tour.
Scores coming through for Kelly, 6.27. He does improve. Still second under Kanoa on the leaderboard, counting both heats from this morning so far. Silva now preparing. Silva, important part of the Brazilian storm, will have a bit of crumble to deal with to start. Nice snap off that lip. Nice connection. Has so much spring in his step. That barrel section will take him out very quickly. What's the big difference, Rosie, between the tube off the back on the right and then the end section kick?
Wow, I mean, well, there you see it. It's just that one, like you said, it sometimes just isn't as hollow as you think it is. That one was pretty hollow, but that timing may be a tiny bit off, as we see. You see that little bit of crumble off the face there. So maybe this wave just didn't offer that opportunity to get as deep, or he got as deep, but then it kind of funneled off. There is subtle differences in this wave. That one almost looked a little bit smaller than the ones previous, but yeah, he's going to be super bummed they let that opportunity run away from him.
It's so hard to just get a wave out here, you know, just even when you start surfing for fun. And in this format, every wave is so intense, especially when you're trying to qualify for finals day on Sunday. So Silva taking in the deep breaths. He'll have an opportunity on the left. All the poles have markings, so you can take off wherever you want. You ask the water patrol guys like Romana to drop you off where you want to start your wave. Some choose maybe a couple poles deeper. It's all up to the athlete. The wave starts really small, then definitely grows a little bit further down the line. Now number 2 on the leaderboard, K.Slater's with Mitchell Salazar.
See you if you're that guy who's trying to play catch up and you pass the other guy. Now the pressure is way more on him because he was thinking, I can't, you know, they got to catch me. And it's a different mindset for sure. It probably feels better during the time when you're ahead, but it feels better in the end if you're the guy who came from behind. So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Kelly. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Kelly. Silva. So much pep in his step to start on the left. So spring-loaded. Beautiful wrapping turns. There's that power drift. A lot of commitment with that when you put yourself deep in the pocket. You end up playing catch-up most of the time. He did well to pull into the end section. Holding that line well. What does he have for us on the finish? Silva. Nice snap. Here comes another big frontside carve. And Silva will ride away clean. Chasing down that mid-range score to put himself in a position to qualify for the next round. We'll see where that one ends up. 3.6 the low, 5.77 the high mark at the moment. You can see Kelly just taking into the deep breaths. Silva probably feeling it after this ride, Rosie.
For sure. So sparky on his forehand. You just mentioned that pep in his step, knowing that he kind of missed that opportunity on the right. So having to make up ground on this left. Your run is comprised of your best right, your best left. So you've really, if you blow the opportunity on the right, you've got to kind of hustle and get some points on the board on the left. So he's definitely trying to make up for that lost ground.
There's that flow where he was able to come from behind. How'd you like the tube effort here?
It was fun. It was good to see. I mean, it took some time setting it up. Knew it was coming. You can still see that board all the way through. So it isn't particularly deep. Then combos it up on that last turn. Brings the cuddy around. So, you know, the judges want to see you kind of throw something dynamic, get a bit deep on the barrel, disappear from view. So did that happen? I'm not too sure.
You're watching the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro presented by Adobe as we continue with live action. Rolling into this one, a rookie on tour that has been so enjoyable to watch. M.McGillivray from Jeffreys Bay, South Africa. So powerful, came off a huge performance in Big Surf. That Margaret River main break, sneaks into the pit a bit late. And he's going to pay the price on that one. We've seen that outside tube section kind of shrink a bit. These surfers trying to get really deep nice and early. The judges said only critical barrels will really be rewarded if you're ultra deep. And we've seen quite a few falls, Rosie, on the last couple of waves out the back there.
Oh no, Maddie, that was tough to watch him go down so early on that wave. And like you said, the wave kind of shrinks a little bit as a bit of the water from the basin dissipates throughout the afternoon. But Yeah, Matt having his first crack here at the Surf Ranch. He's already done pretty well in his scores, but I'm sure he wanted to tidy that up a bit.
It's all about what you can do to settle the nerves and prepare for groundswell type power here in Lemoore. This is McGillivray representing Jeffreys Bay with all the size that you get in South Africa. I'm sure, Rosie, you were not surprised he did so well Margaret River earlier this year.
What a staunch performance from Maddie. I mean, so impressed with him throughout the Aussie leg as we see him go down again on that last wave. So a little bit of a disappointing run for Matt.
Yeah, tough to see him go down so early. It's so crazy how quickly your event could go here. 4 waves, and sometimes that could be it, and you're already moving on to either the Olympics or Mexico, which is now moving on to August. So now you're probably just going, how do you surf this off? In the ocean, you just go down the beach, let off some steam. Might not want to get in the car, drive to Pismo, and just surf and remember what you love so much about the game.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. And everything, the anticipation about it. You're getting that announcement that a wave's coming. There's no paddle battles going on. It's all you in your own head, 0 distractions, and that can get in your head a lot more, I'm sure. And we have anti-stink, we have UPF, so you don't get sunburnt, and the cuts are amazing and comfortable.
That is so cool. I think you went shark tagging in East London, where Rosie comes from a while back. This is R.Callinan. What a year he's had so far, Ro.
Yeah, loving watching Ryan, especially in Merriweather, his hometown. Just so much love for him as he moves through those rounds, along with Morgan Civilik. There he gets a little bit greedy on that tube. You said it, Joe, that wave's looking a little bit smaller, a little bit more pinchy on that barrel, and we've seen it time and time again. I wonder if the guys are going to start switching up that strategy on that first barrel on the right.
That barrel has been very challenging. R.Cal, though, like you said, having an incredible year. Healy, what do you love about Ryan, especially what he's done on the North Shore, pipe and back door, and obviously his best year to date so far with an incredible start?
Yeah, I've known him since he was a lot younger, actually, for some years now. First off, I love it because he's a goofy foot, and I'm completely biased. I'll say that right now. Just for a goofy foot surfer, he has a lot of flexibility and flow that I don't typically see in a lot of goofy foots like myself.
It's amazing, that drop knee style, but he's so wiry. He's like Gumby. And the airs that he's like upside down, but it also helps him incredibly well in really hollow waves because he can reposition himself like most people can't actually bend their body in that way.
Definitely. I mean, flexibility, but along with the point that he's a bigger guy and he's got, that power to go with it. And then also just watching his edit from earlier this season that he did in the off season was so cool to just see what he was doing in the free surfing aspects and then bringing that into competition throughout the Oz leg.
Really big conditions. I think he just hit that key point, just like you were explaining, Mark, about just getting used to this environment. He's a rookie. He hasn't had all these reps, and he knew that showed in his performance, but I love how he's moving on. Looks like he's already ready to move on to Mexico.
Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow because I guess my perspective that might be different than most viewers is when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking of how difficult it was for him to travel here, how much time he had to spend here, and how much build-up and sacrifice he had to make to be in this event. And to have a disappointing outcome like that is like, you don't shake that off for a while.
Yeah,
it's true. And you think about it, Rosie, practice runs, there's one day you had 8 waves, one day you have 4. And I suppose whoever you're teamed up with, if they fall, you're poaching. So maybe you're getting a few sections here and there, but it's happened pretty quickly in the last few days.
Yeah, and it is that steep learning curve that the rookies have to really take it in their stride. No doubt he's going to spend the rest of these 3 days sitting and really analyzing the rest of the event and what the good guys do to get it right so he can take away some knowledge for the next event that he surfs in here at the Surf Ranch.
Healy, what do you think about it with high performance for R.Callinan? Are there clear air sections on this wave, or do you feel like you just have to keep up with it with overall flow on a wave like this?
Yeah, it seems like there's more and more air sections where there used to be a tube. I was talking to Kelly before I came in here, and he said throughout the day that tube kind of shuts down a bit more. You need it offshore in the morning, so we'll see if he starts launching. He's definitely capable.
Beautiful frontside carve. Nice off the top there. Growing up with surfers like Craig Anderson, he's developed an amazing free surf approach and heats late into the pit, but he's still traveling. R.Cal with a deep one. On the left, there's the throw tail, lay back, and that's a cool way to ride away free. Judges won't reward him for it, but he was able to keep in motion with the ride, and I love that end section barrel, Rosie. That probably looked incredible from inside that thing.
Super deep, just right under that guillotine lip, and you guys touched on it, his flexibility. I mean, everyone's come in and just mentioned how the fitness, the burn, everything, and he was able to keep that core strength and almost pull off that last maneuver. It was a little bit messy, but you guys spoke about, you know, the airs and what we're expecting. I'm loving the rail game from Ryan. I mean, I think that's maybe been my biggest takeaway this year so far at this event is how people have really concentrated on the rail. It's super deep on that last barrel section, tucks that around. But like you said, just a neat way to get into that barrel. Doesn't stall, doesn't waste any time. He just tucks under, gets deep, rides that foam ball.
Really great to see how critical that tube ride was into a really explosive fin throw. Unfortunately, ended up riding out sitting down, so the judges will deem that incomplete. Ryan, though, 4.83, 6.53 on his opening run, so he has some room to improve on that last left-hander. A way to finish the year now, starting the season, so we got to get those results underway, and the pressure is going to be not really comparable to anything we've had in the past with one day for a world title shot. Connor hopes to be there in a position now in the top 10 in the world, finaling at Narrabeen. Finals day performance, even injuring himself at Strickland Bay. So hasn't been surfing too much, but still looking strong, Ro.
Looking so sharp, and like Mark touched on, let's see if he makes it through this barrel. He's so deep at the moment, I don't want to take my eyes off him, but yeah, working through an injury, Mark touched on it. I mean, you've got 4 events in a row in Oz. You have such a little bit of downtime before you transition into the next event, so really just getting your head around that and working through injuries at the same time. Connor has got in a great mental space to be able to do that.
And he's such a calm human being. He doesn't seem like that competitor that's in your face or getting really fired up or angry. He's very calm. He's almost the opposite. That's why I think it was so incredible when he was about to go out in the heat with Italo and Narrabeen. Italo, you know, has had about 17 Red Bulls, and then Connor's just cruising and maybe played guitar that morning. This morning I talked to him, he actually forgot what time his run was, so he's very cruisy, but he definitely, when he hits the lineup, he knows how to turn it on. What aspects of Connor's surfing do you like, Mark?
Oh, definitely his rail game, power surfing. I mean, you can tell he's an artist, I guess. The same way he's so into his music and such a good musician. Like, the lines that he chooses to draw are powerful and elegant. You can tell that means a lot to him, kind of like doing the wave the justice.
Oh, I love that breakdown. Connor Coffin now catching his breath on the Red Bull ski as we'll get an update on the conditions. We know the waves are perfect, but what else is happening, Kaipo?
I mean, that crowd factor, especially at Park, comes into play. I mean, we love that feeling when you hit the sand. Everyone's there. They're right on the shore. That wave is right there. You can feed off that energy, like you said, but these events have a different tone to them, and we've seen even in other major sports that really affect the players without the fans there. So it's cool to see a kind of quietened down version of these events and how these athletes take it in their stride.
Connor Coffin now preparing for what will be the last wave of his second run. Remember, bonuses on the line if you finish in the top 2 of your heat. Right now, he's 3rd overall behind Kelly and Kanoa, combining both heats we've had this morning. Was able to enjoy a roll as a boatman at Cloud Break on the island of Tavarua. Loves that wave out there when it's massive and really rippable like this. There's another good backhand turn for Connor Coffin. He's looking strong now. Jams it quickly. Another big, powerful transition. Here comes that hollow pit. Grabs the rail. Perfect style. Connor makes it. Looks like he'll go the wrapping cutback to seal the deal. Solid performance from the power surfer from Santa Barbara, California. And looks like all those early trips as a young kid getting out to Fiji really paid off. And Healy, you know, you've had a ton of trips there yourself, and we always remember the massive days, but there's some days that are so high performance, and Connor said it's easily the favorite wave of his life when it's on. So he's developed an incredible backhand.
Yeah, he has a great backhand. I've got to be on Tavarua Island when he's boatmaning and watch him surf, and just really powerful and unintimidated to hit like a pretty crazy section on his backhand. And he's also spent so much time on North Shore at Pipeline and everything, with the family house being over there. And, so he's no stranger to power.
Just so well traveled, just made him a shoo-in to be a world-class surfer on the top 34. Anything really standing out for you, Rosie, on the backhand compared to his right? Does he have a stronger side in your opinion, or is he pretty even?
I think he's polished on both sides. I mean, Mark, you spoke about the elegance on his forehand. I feel like he brings in that kind of Tom Curran-esque flair to surfing on his forehand, where his backhand, it's so just attack. He's so just a coiled up spring attacking that.